I'm trying to look into the US and try to see something positive there, but there really is nothing positive. It's Bernanke is reappointed, the whole scam is continued, everybody is expected to play along, but in the indices and the background you can see clearly that people are no longer playing along. China and India and all these other countries are not buying as much government paper as they did before, and so there will be a big catastrophe, and it will be a big surprise to everybody that it will be even more severe. And what will happen is that the US will be a country with no stuff that it can make itself and no money to buy it elsewhere, even not fuel. The US won't be able to buy their oil unless they go fight for it, and that's of course something that I, as a European, and I guess everybody around in the rest of the world, thinks is a very sad consequence of just greed in the US system. Because you can see the graph from 1993 where the government of US build up a huge debt by selling paper to the foreign countries, and they all accepted that and they bought that paper, and now it turns out that it's worthless, because now you can see that graph has gone to zero almost. People are no longer buying US denominated assets. A much better solution would be to turn all the banks into a public service, a not-for-profit operation. If you do that with the pharmaceutical companies, if you do that with the hospitals and the medical insurers, if you do that with every basically public necessary service that's necessary for the survival of US population and health, then that would save already a huge amount of money. You could also retract all your soldiers to US soil, because wars won't be fought by people, they will be fought by rockets. Most likely, if you listen to this Brzezinski, I'm sorry, I haven't read his name recently, so I don't know. Zbigniew Brzezinski is his name, I believe. Anyway, if you believe him, he says that wars will be fought by nuclear means in the future, because it's much easier than getting all the people from one place to the other. It's easier to kill them than to coerce them. That's a very dire statement, and people get very panicked about that, but I think it's also the truth. If you want to have a cheap war, you launch one of those super expensive rockets you have in your big silo. But the better thing, of course, would be to not do that, to simply go back to a not-for-profit operation for banks and other very expensive institutions you have, for instance universities. You know what the ridiculous prices are for an MBA course. That's all speculative, because that's all speculating on future income, and that has been exploited in the banking system to create loans and make people dependent. That can just all be abolished. That's very simple. Do that, then you're rid of a lot of burden on society. Get rid of the for-profit motive of the credit card companies. You know, these people deserve their jobs, but they don't deserve to make money more than they need for paying the salaries. That's my opinion. I'm sorry, maybe you don't agree. I hope you do. If you do that, you get a situation where at least the burden for the people is less, and then they can start learning to make things that they can sell to foreign countries, and then they have a debt to work away, and that's just simply the debt that's been built up since 1993. Partially, I guess, because partially that debt can also be forgiven, because why not reset those things? Some foreign countries will agree to that. That's not a big problem. Anyway, that approach seems to me much better, the non-profit approach, than going to war. I think China would agree, and I hope that's what will happen.